Alright, Association of American Railroads Safety Operations Part 2 Basic Specification Manufacturing Installation Railway Track Scales 2013 Table Contents Introduction Capacity Size Plans Weight Beams Accessories Scale Levers Piston Pivots and Bearings Nose Irons Level Fulcrum Stands Loops and Connections Checks Anti-Friction Point Bearings 212 clearance interchangeable scale way bridges, protection of corrosion approaching rails, dead rail beams, deck, foreign material precipitation, lighting, location of elevation, foundation pit, setting of the scale house, weighing indicator, recorder devices, loading cell scales. This is table rated sectional capacity, Cooper 80 E80 weighing mode capacity. Allowable unit strength in pounds per square inch for iron and steel. Mountable plate thickness. Section 2.1 Introduction. The specification intended to apply with the railway tracks scale system used with the revenue service that they do not apply with the scales previously installed except with the reinstallation of such scales shall conform to the provision of these specifications. They are intended to source the reasonable uniformity scale with a similar scale surface without preventing and implement the type of the scale of the component with the parts that further specified which are not covered with these specifications. The material workmanship of the qualities shall be at least equal if they require therein principle they are then shall set forth and shall be followed with so far as apply. Specification consolidated superseded previous specification tolerance testing car specifications are covered in Part 1 specification location maintenance operation testing of the railway track scales. All automatic indicating with automatic indicating scales should be recorded in scales. 2.2 capacity and size amended with the 2010 2.2.1 related sectional capacity level scale. The rated sectional capacity greater than the live load that may be divided with equally load pivots of the section with reducing stress and many excess of those specified in section 2.14.3 and 2.14.3c and 3d. Load cell scale the rate sectional capacity based on the capacity of the load cell installed with the table 2.1 illustrates the rated sectional capacity with the pair of loads with the capacity installed rated the sectional capability. Other load with the can be calculated followed should be rounded down to the nearest 5 tons. Rate sectional capacity ton is greater as is less than sectional load capacity time minus dead load amounts but divided by 2,000. Whereas sectional load capacity equals the load capacity in pounds quantity times the load of cells in the section. D dead load or disallowance is 10% of the section load capacity or 30 pounds in the pounds, whichever is lower. Table 2.1 rated sectional capacity 100,000 load capacity 100,000 pounds. Use capacity of the tons 85, 110 is 95, 120 is 105, 130 is 115, 200 pounds is 180, and 300,000 load capacity is the sectional capacity of 270 tons. 2.2 weighing mode capacity. The weighing mode capacity should not exceed the heaviest load that can be applied without proceeding the stress excess of the loose specification. The 2.14 minimum live load used in the copper E80, the illustrated with the ream of the chapter 15, the steel structures, figure 1.2, the copper E80, the capacity of the weighing modes of the given length of the shown in table 2 below. 2.2 below the table 2.2 copper E80 weighing mode capacity is greater than less than 5 to 40 tons, 5 to 10 is 80, 10 to 15 is 120, 15 to 23 is 160, 23 to 29 is 186, 29 to 35, 212, 35 to 40 through 58, and 440 to 56, 284. 2.3 nominal scale capacity. Nominal scale capacity should not exceed the lesser of the sum of the weight of the mode capacity, the rate sectional capacity multiplied with the quantity of the number of the sections and minus with the number of the dead with the space and the minimum minus of 0.5. The formula is structured as the rate sectional capacity times the number of sections divided by the number of dead spaces minus 0.5 or 640,000 pounds based on a 12.5 minimum test weight. 2.2.4 size of the scales expressed on the length of the way of the rail. 2.3 drawings. The scale owner, chief engineer of the surfacing rail car should be furnished the drawing specifications, description, sufficient dimensions, detail permit the design calculation, stress adequate change with the design requirement, the finishing workmanship of the steel of the approach wall, scale pit, construction, such information for the site plan showing the scale of the scale house, equipment location, solo characteristics. Data should be furnished with the scale design company distributed with the installer, or if you review the commencement of the construction, also plans should include the location of the scale owner, the names. 2.3 material the purchase furnished with the written information showing the material in which scales proposed that the furniture are made, and materials do not meet any safe stress and listed in 214.3. Chemical and physical properties must be given in sufficient with the detailed permit with the convincing competent judgment of safe stress of the factors safety used in the design service information furnished with the chief engineer served with the railway car prior to the installation. 233 plans, assembly plans. Assembly plans should be furnished with the prior installation showing the location of the field connection, the information necessary to purchase the design, construct the pit, install the parts of the finish furnished with the manufacturer as built with the pit, and showing the pit the connection, detailed instrument with the wiring arrangements, including the component identification value, the maintenance instruction, any other permanent maintenance of the weighing system shall be furnished with the chief of the engineering serving railway car upon completion of the installing of the weight station. Section 2.4 weighing beams and accessory. 2.4.1 nominal capacity. Nominal capacity is defined in 2.2.3 shall not exceed the scale capacity, the weight of the beam, and the full capacity type of the to be provided. Poise stop on one each of the weigh beam. The poise stop should be provided with to prevent the poise from traveling the remaining and back over the 0 notch graduation beyond the full capacity notches. One main bar of the notches should be placed no closer than 6 per 1 inch. Notice that it shall be formed with the position accurate position poise would automatically result with the graduation in which the poise may be placed. The pawl or latch. For the poise of notch weigh beam, the design of the construction of the pawl and latch is the potency shall be such in the accurate position of the poise will automatically result with the graduation in which the poise will be placed. The projection and recess of the poise should be designed with the objective reducing the minimum of the number of the projections that become chipped and broken off the recess and the maintain retained foreign material. 2.4.2 ratio. The pivot and loop will be with the weight beam. The tip of the ratio of the weight beam. Tip of the bridge shall be marked with the beam and the ratio of the tail. Weight beam of the pivot bolt butt pivot. The planning of the permanently stamped on the beam. 2.4.3 posing bearings. The poise should be constructed with moving along with the bar with the side plate with the main poise should be equipped with ball bearings. 2.4.4 the fraction poising of the registration weight beam. Fraction poise of the registration weight beam shall be constructed with the stop positively each of the graduation and prevent the movement of the beyond the level graduation. 2.4.5 printing level. The one registration of the weight being substantial. The type of the hand gripping should be provided to facilitate the registration of the weight. Natural operation of the registration mechanics shall not close the lateral displacement of the weight beam. 2.4.6 the type of the figures. The type of the registration weight beam. The type of the figures should be made in material sufficiently hard under the designated conditions. Use the figure to become better to deface. The figures shall be plain raised and sufficiently high to ensure clear impression upon the weight of the ticket and tape. Those should be made attached so that it cannot be loosened and detached without positive indication the weigh beam is out of order. 2.4.7 receptacle. The weight ticket on registering the weigh beam. The means should be provided with the placing the weight ticket in its receptacle in the position of the weight of the car. The weight can be registered different with the representative of the poise setting. 2.4.8 poise. The material exterior shelf of the poise shall be made with the corrosion-resistant alloy steels, iron, brass, and any other metal no softer than the brass, making the contact with the weigh beam movable part. All movable elements forming a part of the poise shall be constructed and non-detachable without manifest manipulation. The poise that the screws, if used with a secure poise with any point of the weigh beam, shall not be removable. 2.4.9 identification of parts. The weigh beam shall be given the serial number which should be stamped on the weigh beam. The pivots, the poise, the fractional bars shall have the stamp on the identification marks to show that the weigh beam each belongs to the pivots shall be so marked to indicate the proper position of the weigh beam. 2.4.10 of the factory adjustment of the notch. Each weigh beam notch should be adjusted with a 2/10,000 of an inch, 2,000th of an inch nominal distance for the 0 notch. 2.4.11 beam fulcrum stand. The design of the weigh beams is supported with the stand fitted with the compensating of the bearing. The beam fulcrum shall be designed and constructed with the installed with the resultant lining forces applied with the bearing carrier, but the standing would devolve with the middle third with the length of the width of the base. Height of the stand measured with the bottom of the surface of the base of the pivot bearing shall not exceed 1/13 inches. Finish the bearing surface of the base stand with the finish of the plane perpendicular to the axis upright with the portion stand. Knife edge of the line with the bearing shall be parallel to the base. 2.4.12 balance ball. The position of the balance ball is vertically adjustable unless otherwise required for the law of regulation. Longitudinal movement controlled with the means of the self-contained hand-operated screw otherwise devised, which not require the ball to be rotated with making adjustments. 2413 trigger loop. The way beating of the travel to the way beam trigger loop should not be let more than 2% of the distance from the trigger from the Falcon pivot, not less than 0.9 inches. Point of the way beam should be fitted with the indicator to be used with the conjunction with the graduated target over the devised trigger loop indicated with the central position. The trigger loop with the wing beam is horizontal. See the materials contact with the parts of the trigger loop that shall be made with a non-magnetic material. 2414 wing beam support the way beam fulcrum stand. The trigger loop should stand supported with the metal shelf mounted on the metal pilers equivalent to the strength of the durability. The shelf should be sufficiently rigid with the capacity to scale deflection can occur with such extent will affect the wing performance. Section 2.5 scale levers. 2.5.1 quality of the materials. Casting steel tubes, structural shapes. Use of levers shall not be warped. They shall be clean, smooth, and uniform, with the casting shall be free of blistering, blowholes, shrinkage holes, cracks. All welding should be conform to the current ARIMA Chapter 5.15 steel structures. 2.5.2 the noise and iron guides. The guides of the noising iron should touch one of the move. The purpose of the adjustment of the pivot that held parallel to its original position. Give it the way that each of the casting iron shall be machined. 2.5.3 the leveling of lugs. The scale of straight level of each of the levers shall be provided with the leveling lugs. The longitudinal alignment is the scale's torsion level. A lever type of leveling lug should be provided with the pipe of the torsion member of the transverse line with the extension of arm longitudinal alignment. Each pair of the lugs shall be furnished with a common plate with a parallel to the plane through the knife edge of the end of the pivots. 2.5.4 the truss rods. The truss rods shall not be used in parts of the lever system except for the shifting of the levers laterally, prevent whipping of the vibration due to the impact. The truss rods designed as parts of the lever structure to support vertical applied loads will not be permitted. 2.5.5 marking levers. The figures denoting the ratio ever shall be cast that override and permanently marked over on the lever weighing element not permanently attached to the indicated with the element. They should be clearly permanently marked for the purpose of identification of the name items, name and initials, and track mark manufacturer designation, the positively identification of the pattern, design, nominal capacity, section, and capacity. 2.5.6 permanency and adjustment. The design workmanship, the factory adjustment, the elevator, all levers shall be the proper ratio of lever arms will be maintained. 2.6 pivots and bearings. 2.6.1 the materials used to be pivots and bearings shall be alloy steel and the wedge of steel, which will give the equivalent performance to the hardening with the Rockwell C's and scale not less than 58 and more than 62. Design manufacturer pivots should be formed with including the angle of the side of the form of the knife edge will not exceed 90% of the offset with the knife edge of the center line of the pivot will not exceed 10% of the width of the pivot. 2.6.3 motion fastening pivots should be firmly fastened with the position with swagging crank or caulking. Machining pivots when required for the scale of the greater the sectional capacity of 100,000 pound main lever piston pivot shall mean machine finished and fitted in machine ways. Continuous contact required pivots shall be mounted with continuous contact with the knife edge with their respective bearings with the full length of the part of the design to contact with the obtaining of the loop bearings with the knife edge shall be protected slightly beyond the bearings and loops. 2.6.4 the position and any lever the pivots shall be mounted that each knife edge will maintain the horizontal plane under any load with the capacity of the scale. Any plane bisecting angle with the knife edge will perpendicular to the plane with the knife edge of the end of the pivots. Actual distance between the knife edge and any lever will differ from the nominal distance more than 1/64th of an inch or foot. Knife edge and any lever shall be parallel. 2.6.5 the support of the projecting pivot to reinforce the lever that is supporting the project pivot should be tapered off to prevent accumulation of foreign matter next to the pivot and provide proper clearance. 2.6.6 fulcrum distance. The minimum distance between the fulcrum pivot and the knife edge of the load or the pivot knife edge of the main lever scales 150,000 pounds sectional capacity less than 6.5 inches. The scale is greater than 150,000 pounds sectional capacity. Minimum distance shall be 8 inches. 2.6.7 designing of the bearings. Bearing seals partition separating with the containing but shall be applied with the mechanism personalizable movement. The loading receiving the element will displace line contact between any bearing of the opposing pivot. 2.6 interchangeable bearing seals. All bearing shields same nominal dimension manufactured post part identification with interchangeable mounted interchangeable bearing locks. 2.6.9 finishing of the bearing steel. These bearing surfaces shall be brought to smooth and true accurate finish ensure in continuity and contact with the posing of the pivots. 2.7 Nose irons. 2.7.1 Nose the design. Nose irons should be constructed that they will point the position means of adjusting the screw with the standard side of the thread. They will be retained with the points of the position means the screws both on the standard side of the thread. The surface of the nose iron to be included. Sliding the contact lever will be machined true and the secure any of the accurate fill and other lever when adjusting the made with the knife edge will be held in parallel to the normal position. 2.7.2 Screw bolts. Adjusting the retaining screw bolts should be made with corrosion-resistant material. 2.7.3 Retaining device. A device retaining each of the nose iron position will be provided with a shall be designated and constructed that will be independent with the means provided with the adjustment. No cause of indentation of lever. No cause of tension of the remaining bolts when loaded with applied to the scale. Cause the nose iron to remain with the position when retaining the device release. 2.7.4 Marking the position. The position of each nose iron determined with the factory adjustment shall accurately, clearly, permanently indicated by well-defined marks on the lever of the nose iron, which may meet on a common line. Section 2.8 Lever fulcrum stands. 2.8.1 Qualities materials casting. The structural and lever of stands will be clean with the smooth and uniform casting of the free blisters, blowholes, shrink holes, and cracks. All welding shall conform with the recurrent ARIMA Chapter 15 steel structures. 2.8.2 Proportions. The lever stand shall be designed with constructed and installed under the particular practical condition loading of the resilient force from the bearing of the fall with the middle third of the length and width of the base. 2.8.3 The base of lever stand. The base of any lever stand shall move. The stand shall be finished with a suitable manner with the tolerance of 1/32 of an inch to a plane particular vertical line with the center of the knife edge plying carried with the upright position of the standing. 8.2.8.4 Finishing the top of the stands. Top of any lever of the receiver with the bearing. The steel with the cap of the ball shall be finished with the smooth and shall parallel at the base of the 1/32 of an inch. 2.8.5 The anchor bolt holds. 2 anchor bolt holes not cylinders and 2 inches in diameter shall be provided with the proper place in the base of every fulcrum stand with unless there is an equally effective means of anchorage provided. 2.8.6 Tie bars. The tie bars of the lever stands are used in contact surfaces and shall be machined. Section 2.9 Loops and connections. 2.9.1 Material required. The materials hardened with the bearing surface of the loop connection shall be the same as those therein prescribed with the pivot bearings. 2.9.2 The design of the loop of the bearings projecting the rivets radius portion of the bearing making the immediate contact with the knife edge radius loop shall not be less than the longest side of the cross section of the square pivot with the use of the length in the loop and the light clearance to provide the pivots over the square cross section is used. 2.9.3 The length. Loops in connection except the adjustable shall be in the same length. Lock nuts, bolts used in the parts of the connection shall be provided with lock locks. 2.9.5 Vertical adjustments. Mean adjustment shall be provided with lever system indicated by the elements will permit the indication of leveling shelf lever will be used once. One use shelf, no shelf lever in the connection indicating with the elements should be used. The shelf adjustment shall be provided with locking device. Section 2.10 Checks. 2.10.1 Design. The check system was designed to hold the weigh bridge in position. 2.10.2 The number of the type of the member. The 2000 turn weigh bridge shall be provided with the position positive means of maintaining the rail and loaded cell in line with the type of the method included with the plate and the hard bumper checking that may be used in the combination of the weigh bridge. Manufacturer will determine the number of the type of the weigh bridge checks in shall be used. 2.10.3 Position. Check rods. Save plates unlike may be set in the same horizontal with the longitudinal check with the parallel to each of the transverse checks shall be parallel to each of the located with the close to each of the section possible. 2.10 The strength combined longitudinal combined with the transverse checks that shall be designed to resist anticipated force and implied weigh bridge. Section 2.11 Anti-friction points and plates. 2.11.1 Material and design. Hardened steel anti-friction contacts shall be used in limited longitudinal displacement between the knife edges of the bearings. They shall be smooth and so designed applied to provide with the contacts and points of the knife edge line. 2.11.2 Total clearance between the anti-friction plates and points should be not exceed 1/16 of an inch on the weigh beam, the 1/8 of an inch on the shelf lever, 1/4 of an inch on all other levers. Minimum clearance shall not less than 1/2 of the respective amounts. 2.12 Clearances. The clearance amount between the fixed parts of the lever system shall be at least 3/4 of an inch unless otherwise specified. 2.13 Interchangeability. Units and parts intended with the interchangeability with the units and parts in the scale. Same design manufacturer shall be intended with the scale drawing. Subject matter of the proposal manner and clear indicated with the interchangeable manner. Replacement with the adjustable required if any other replacement. Section 214 scale weighbridge. The type of the girders. Weighbridge girders shall also be designed with the joint of the center of the building with the vertical flexure without arranging the section on axle. Weighbridges tipping of the weighbridges will not be allowed. 214 weighbridges bearing. The surface of the weighbridge bearings intended to make the contact with the bridge girders shall be finished so that when the position of all bearing surface will be within 7/32 of an inch on the same horizontal plane parallel to it, and secured the proper line with the parts of the diameter of the bolt helm holes with the weighing bridge bearings of the girders shall exceed the diameter of the bolt fastening the bearings of the girders 1/2 inch. 214.3 Steel specifications. Structural steel design fabrication except with limitations shall be conformed to the REMA Chapter 5 steel structures except otherwise specified herein. To allow impact normal foundation conditions, the all-strain steel design stress and weight bridge shall be limited to 10,000 psi. Maximum definition of weighing bridge beams that shall be girders shall not exceed 1/1200th of the span between the section. A maximum of 6,000 pound linear inches of the knife edge to allow the seal such as E52100 82A2 maximum of 5,000 pound linear inches of the knife edge of the high carbon steel. Unit stress of the iron steel shall conform to Table 2.3. Table 2.3 is the allowable stress in pounds of square inch of the iron steel. Transverse bending, direct stress, tension, compression of the transverse bending, direct stress, tension and bending, shear and torsion, PSI, material cast iron thickness in inches. 214 bracing. Each of the bracing should be designed with lateral force of 200 pound linear feet plus 4 feet and 4% of the sectional capacity of the scale uniformly distributed along the top of the way. The 214 diagonal brace. The diagonal brace should consist of not less than 3 by 3 inch, 3 inch by 3 inch by 1.5 inch angle. The equivalent not less than 3 diagonals per square and shall be used unless the otherwise specified. 214.6 transverse bracing. To carry the lateral load of the load cells, each shall be provided with its end of the transverse bracing for which the section module should not be less than determined by the formula S. The section module equals to 1/4 of which was 0.04 capacity in pounds of 200 of length of the span divided by 10%, 10 thousandths times 1/4. Intermediate transverse shall be made use of intervals with exceeding the 6 feet, having the sectional module is not less than the use of the end spans. 214.7 Stiffeners and points of bearings. Stiffeners should be placed in the plane of the bearing of the girder, each of the span with the weighing of the bridge. The shall extend nearly the practical edge of the flame, and if giving the effective distribution should be connected with the web with the sufficient rivet and bolts of the weld to the transmit the loads. Where the angle of stiffeners are used, they should not be crimped with the wet plate. Stiffeners are used, they should be cut in the 45-degree angle up or lower at the end of the clear flange angle with a welded connection flange with the plate weld applicable. The end of the stiffeners and point bearings shall be milled to the ground. The bearing of the flat against the flange shall be welded to the flange with the full preservation of the groove. 248 way rails pedestal. The way rail should be carried on a metal pedestal, except that the design excludes such the pedestal is not over 30 space not over 30 inches of the center of the metal ties directly to the way bridge. The top of the pedestal should be machined. The bottom of the pedestals should be machined unless the type of the metal equivalent of the poured between the bottoms of the surfaces has been supporting them. Pedestals shall be designed so that they will transfer lateral loads specified in 214.4. The way of the bridge, the rod shall be provided with the preventing spread of the way rails doing the wedged action of the whale flanges. 214.9 Fabrication and assembly. In order to avoid distribution at each of the way bridge girders, there shall be fabricated and complete with the diagonal and transverse bracing in the shop under the proper inspection shall participate with the method practicable where the field assembly is necessary. Each of the pair of the girders shall be placed in the proper alignment with the place of the introduced and secured. 2.4.10 Weighing of the rails. Length of the weight of the section of the way rail should be larger than the consistent surrounding the yard of the track condition, but shall not be less than 115 pound per the yard. Rail should have the full section in good condition. Rail should be one of the pieceful scale of length of the scale. Anchoring the positive means shall be provided with preventing the creeping. Clearance along the way rails, the clearance between the way rail and the pedestal of the rigged check shall not be less than 1.5 inches unless the adequate provisions of the clearance is made. The openings shall be protected with the weather-formed material. 250, Section 215, section of the protection for the corrosion. 215.1 Surface treatment. The furnishing the treatment of all surfaces shall be durable and appropriate for intended use. Section 216, approach rails. The 216.1 anti-creeping provision amended in 2013. The approach rails shall be in the same plane in alignment with the wheel rails, way rails. The way rail approach of the rail should be properly arranged to prevent the creep. Its expansion of the rail should be when used when the temperature is extreme. Mechanical displacement with the repeated loadings the hump then or anticipated the gap should be not less than 1/8 of an inch or greater than 5/8 of an inch unless the special means utilize reduced impact of the wheel load passing the approach of the rail. The way loads 216.2 approach of the way rails joints Milter joints easier rails suitable transition joints shall be provided with the 216.3 alignment. Good alignment must be provided with over the approach of the scale with respect to rail of elevation and horizontal alignment. 216.4 the weight of the rails approach of the scale of the rails should be the same weight. Rails should be continuous with no rail joint on the scale and approaches. Section 217, dead rails and dead rail beams. Dead rails, when required, are dependent 2013. Scale located in excess of the sectional capacity accepted with the equipped with the dead rails. 217.2, elevation dead rails should be constructed and maintained to the same elevation of the way rails. 217.3, the weight of the rails. The rails should be minimum of 115 pounds per yard. Transverse bottom of supporting dead rails. Structural steel workmanship shall conform to the AREMA Chapter 5, 15 structural steel structures. Section 218 of the deck. 218 type of the scale deck should be constructed into suitable material may either be the floating or the fixed type. 218.2 the construction the material of the deck should be surface and conform with the safety requirements that shall be sufficient and strong enough to support incidental traffic. 218.3 the clearance between the bottom of the fixed beams to the deck supporting the girders further with the way bridge shall not be less than 2 inches. Section 219, foreign material and precipitation. Exclusion means shall be provided with the preventing accumulation foreign material considered as a condensation and precipitation which could be interfered with the action of the scale causing the undue deterioration of any part of the scale structure. Section 220, lighting. The scale housing in the surrounding area, the lighting of the scale housing of the deck, the adequate need for the safe operation enable the wearer to observe weighing instrument car number, the position of the car wheels, certainty, the maintenance outlets should be provided with the 222. The pit should be provided with sufficient illumination permit the inspection of the scale. 221, location of the elevation. Location shall be located with adequate foundation at least 75 feet of the tangent tracks to approach the way rails to be evaluated. Provided the elevation of the areas, the purported drainage shall be raised with such elevation drainage for the surface of water will be away from the means of the provide accumulation of the water for the scale site. The solution of the saturated area for the poor the drainage shall be determined by a competent soil engineer. 221.3 shelf levers and way beams. Scales should also be located levers or other shelf levers between the transverse extension levers, way beams, and unnecessary right-hand way beams. Always preferred. Section 222, foundation of the pit. This note, the section presumes the scale pit foundation closure of the scale mechanism necessary when the conditions permit. However, the consideration should be given the possibility of installation of the scale's foundation without the side walls. 222.1, material scale foundation constructed with reinforced concrete. The quality of materials method, mixing and placing the concrete shall confirm with the AREMA Chapter 8 concrete construction foundation. 222.2, the dimension of the pit. The pit should be dimensioned to suit the typical of the scale installed. The 223, the wall pits. The inside the end of the wall is not less than 15%, 15 inches, preferably 18 inches, the thick of the top of the foundation wall of the scale housing shall not be less than 12 inches. The top of the and shall be solidly formed with the side walls of the scale pit. The 224, waterproofing when necessary to prevent seeping the water through the foundation scale pit with the membrane with waterproof methods to be effectively equally effective. 225, drainage. The pit floor should be pitched with the common point of the drain shall be smooth. The free pockets in water may stand. The pit floor is below the subsurface water level. The pit should be drained from the lowest point of the automatically equipped with the automatic means of the removal of the water in its collects. 226, approach aprons, amended 2011. Approach aprons are provided with each of the end of the scale and end of the space between the weight of the module to preserve the line and surface of the rails. The scale and the approach for the scale be on the tangent and top of the rail shall be on the same grade. The approach of the structure of it should be either the support of the integral scale of the foundation approach of the apron design shall be only one following. The continuous reinforced concrete slab of the parallel reinforced concrete appears beneath each of the rails supported with the common continuous reinforced concrete footing parallel steamboat hose complying with the applicable parts of 214 beneath each of the rails supported with each of the common and continuous reinforced concrete flooring of the piling. The design criteria for the approach to the concrete or soil bearing capacity shall be the same as required in the scale foundation. The minimum approach apron length is measured by the end of the weighing of the rails shall be followed single draft, static, single draft, uncoupled motion, multiple draft, static, multiple draft, uncoupled motion, single draft, couple, in motion 25 feet, 50 feet, and 75 feet, multiple draft, coupled, in motion. 22.7, water batter, wall batter. Wall surface next to the earth subject to the freezing should be constructed with a batter no less than 1 to 12. 228 concrete bearing surface. The bearing stress concrete shall not exceed 300 psi under the load of the self-bearing plates lever standing at the 400 psi at all other points. 229 loads. Live loads, E80 recommended live load of the Riemann bridge specification in 4 axles, 80,000 pounds each for the 60 inch between the axles. The chief engineer will specify with the live load to be used. The dead load should be required with the design minimum of 500 pound linear feet on the platform on the short foot of 6 feet 2. The bridge concrete disc deck and with permit possible preloading which will be applied. Section design loading of the cells, the pivot, the returning, the falcon shall be equal to exceed the maximum weight bridge and the end of the reaction of the peer reaction with the section support of the two way bridges. 222.10 footing in the piers and lever stands and load cells. Concrete footing in the pilers supporting the lever stand shall not exceed be less than 18 inches thick. The top of the shall be above the floor, sufficient distance preventing the accumulation of water under the base of the stand. The top shall be finished to the exact elevation to receive the lever stand directly without the use of shims. Grouting where possible. Grouting, if used, shall be the best non-shrink impact resistant materials available. If the scale is type of having the main lever, the better. Some bearing assemblies that hang below the base of the main lever stand of the lever. Here the shall be the recessed size given the clearance with the 1.5 inches sum of the form to prevent the accumulation of foreign material. Concrete film footing of the proper repairs supporting load base plates should not be less than 18 inches thick. The top shall be above the floor of sufficient distance to prevent the accumulation of water under the base plates. 222.11 pit floor. The portion of the pit floor is not used supported to retain the portion of the way bridge structure concrete mat not less than 6 inches thick. 222.12 anchored bolts. Lever stand shall be secured with a minimum of 2 anchor bolts. Load cell masonry plates shall be secured with a minimum of 4 anchor bolts. All cast anchor bolts shall be a minimum of 1 inch. Diameter shall be embedded with a minimum of 10 inches. They shall have the hooks, plates, and other suitable projections embedded in a minimum of the 8 inch below the finished concrete surface. The anchor bolts used in fastening clips, the rail clips, the foundation shall minimum of 1.5 inch diameter. 1 inch diameter, not greater than 2 feet. Embedded with a minimum of 8 inches below the finished concrete bearing. Anchor bolts utilizing epoxy anchor system shall include the threaded suede anchor, the anchor rod, suitable epoxy embodying material, and installation of the anchor bolt, and shall complete with the strict accordance with the procedure specified in the manufacturer anchoring system. 222.13 floating levers. The floating lever should be anchored with the foundation of resist no less than twice the uploading procedure with the capacity load. 222.4 the deck beam support structural deck beam supporting beam shall be set in each side of the pit with the center of the bearings not less than 6 inches from the inside of the face of the pit with the wall. 222.15 water bearing way beam foundation. The popper solution supporting way beams shall be supported. The rest of the reinforced concrete floor. The steam beams reinforce the concrete beams. The pillars supporting beams if used. The independent scale floor house floor if in the use of the timber when necessary to install the way beam of the building other than the regular scale. And the pillars sword support with the rest of the floor is capable of carrying the load without a settlement of the foundation independent of the building. 222.16 ventilation. All scale pits ventilated to meet the needs of each particular case, but to minimize the relative humidity of the pit and to retard the corrosion of the scale of the parts of the structural steel. 222.17 entrance to the scale pit. The suitably accessible the scale pit should provide with the entrance shall be closed with a suitable closure fastened to prevent the entry of the unauthorized personnel. 222.18 safety piers. Suitable piers, columns, other support shall be provided with to prevent excessive drop of the girders. There should be failure of other scale parts. Clearance should be maintained at full scale capacity. 222.19 bearing pressure under the foundation. The bearings are foundation. Footings should be such pressure used in the footings as will not exceed for fine sand and clay 4,000 pounds a foot squared. For coarse and sand, gravel, and hard clay 6,000 pounds a foot squared. For boulders and solid rock 2,000 pounds a foot squared. Feet squared. The solid does not bearing the capacity of the 4,000 feet squared. The bearing capacity cannot be increased if the drainage stabilization means the pile of foundations should be provided with a careful soil exploration, include borings in a way that is desirable. Section 223, setting of the scale. 223.1, passing of the sands. Aligning the lever stands the anchor of the bolts that hold the sand is filled with the non-shrinking grout. Washers applied with the anchor bolts. Nuts tightened appropriately with the anchor bolt diameter. 223 leveling. All levers should be level with the connection plumb with the load cells. Assembly should be raised and lowered and required means of the leveling screw stem. Method of overweighing the bridge into the level transversely in the grade longitudinally after the level. The load cell phase of the tolerance is not more than 0.15 thousandth of an inch in a foot, and therefore should be routed as required. Section 224 Scale House. The 224 scale house design. The scale instrument shall be installed with the suitable equipment. The bungalow building will be provided with sufficient environmental protection for the instrument. Maintaining the scale operator. For attending the scales, they should be obstructed with the view of the rail car with the weighing weight and approaching traffic. They're intended with the scales. They should be simply means of the communication for the weighing bridge instrument. Locations 224.2. 224.2 location. The lateral clearance between the scale house and the center line with the scale to any track shall not be less than 8 feet unless they otherwise required by the laws serving the railroad. 224.3 indicated with record of the shelf. The shelf required for the mounting indicated with the and/or recorder shall be located with provided with the ease of the operation while obstructing the way of the view of the scale deck approaching the car. The truck shelf must not limit the ready access of the instrument and maintenance purposes. 222.24 clearance. Weigh beam shelf. The clearance of not less than 1 inch shall be provided with the inside of the scale house. The weigh beam support shelf. 225 weighing indicators recording device amended to 2012. 225.1 introduced specification covered with electronic weight indicator with recording device including the following weight indicators. The data process limited to related to weighing. The virtual weight indicators are weighed in the process done with the more complex computing system. Note, mechanical indicator specification last documented in 2011. Aar Scale Handbook were removed due to the reduced market space presence. 225 capacity. Nominal capacity of electronic weight indicators should not be exceeded the normal capacity of the weighing system. 225 3 graduated digital increments. The value of the scale division expressed in the unit of the weight shall be 1 to 2 to 5 decimal multiple 1 to 25 housing. 1 to 25. 225 housing. The electrical weight indicated with recording the device shall be contained with the suitable housing for protecting the environment. 225.5 marking requirements. Minimum electronic weight indicator should be marked with the following: manufacturer's name, manufacturer, trademark, model, and part number, the nominal capacity, scale, division, sectional capacity, non-repetitive serial number. 225.6 the ceiling adjustable component for the electronic device. All adjustment components, electronic device that affect the meteorological performance device except for the zero adjustment shall be the securely adjustment should be not adjusted without breaking mechanical security seal with creating a permanent record for the approved electronic audit. When the security seal that has been broken, the calibration of other meteorologically significant parameter has been changed, it shall be reported to the testing authority. 225.70 indication. Prevention should be made with the indicator with the recorded zero balance condition. 225.80 mechanics. A semi-automatic zero setting mechanism shall be operable only the indication statable within 3 to plus or minus 3 scale division. Any automatic zero tracking mechanism must be disabling during the static testing of the scale. 225 electronic motion detection. The record of the weighing of the valve of the electronic weight indicator should be prohibited until the indicator is stable within plus or 3 minus scale division. Alright, 226 load cell scales. Bearing surfaces. Convex surface load cell extension of the contact with the bearing surface of the seal hardened with the Rockwell C50-55. Bearing plates contact with the convex loading of the surfaces. Load cell with the extension of the shell be the seal hardened with the Rockwell C50-55. Minimum thickness of the plate with the shell also be below the additional bearing plate for the mounting of the plate with the A36 shell provided with below the load cell with the minimum thickness shown in the shown table. 242 shows the mounting plate thickness, load capacity with the bearing thickness and the out mounting plate and thickness load mounting plate thickness, pounds, kilograms, inches, centimeters. 226 clearance. The clearance shall be provided with anchor bolt and so that the load can be chained with the minimum jack in the weighbridge. 226 linearity. The output characteristic of the load can bat itself with the linear of 0 plus or minus 0.5%, 0.05% with the best fit calibration curve of the representate. The plot of the voltage pressure output of the versus the load applied. 226.4, the temperature characteristic, load cell characteristic with able to respect the temperature with the following limits. Zero shift will not exceed 0.5 15 thousandths of an inch per 10,000 per percentage of full scale output degree of the Fahrenheit. Span calibration should not change to not more than 8 10,000ths of an inch per degree of Fahrenheit. 226.5 loaded cell overload characteristic amendment of 2013. The load cell should be designed with the load up to 150% of the rated capacity, which changes the weighing performance. Load cell be designed with withstand load up to 300% of the rated capacity with structural failure. Without structural failure. 226.6, the moisture protection load cell should be hermetically preventing moisture prevention. 226.7, corrosion load cells should be provided with a finish with the corrosion resistant under the normal pit conditions. 226.8, power source. The power source of the electronic information, the power source of the electronic instrument, load cell circuitry should conform to the following. The power circuit pores should be reliable, provided with the voltage specified by the manufacturer. The AC supply frequently should be stable with the manufacturer specification. On one side of the IEC power of the cell should be with either ground potential for the force surge protection with the provided load cell instrument and circuit. Adequately shielding provided with a limiting radio efficiency electromagnetic interference scale satisfy the weight tolerance requirements when the scale equipment is subjected to the RFI EMI special influences. 229 cabling. All cabling between the load cells, junction boxes, electronic installation should be conformed with the following. All cables should be electronically stable, statically shielded. All cable shields cable shields interconnected with cable carried in single ground that should be separated with the ground from the power source. The ground is provided with the load cell instrument with circuits. It should be the copper rod, which without possible deriving with the depth of the water table. Connection between the ground and the common ground point of the load cell with the instrument with the circuit shall be in the copper weight equivalent with a number 8, 10 gauge if larger. All cable shields will lead the circuit is ground easy at one end of the only. All cables should be insulated with material having the non-hygroscopic scope quality stable capacitation between the conductors. F. The load cell shall be physically separated with the power cables never formed with the same continuity sample. All cable connections junctions in the load circuit shall be properly protected against the entrance of moisture. All multi-conductor cabling shall be color-coded, provided with the means of identification of the individual conductor. Cables from the load cell junction box should be unspliced. The length of the junction box should be located near the top of the pit, and both of the weight bridges of cabling with the first junction and box for the common master junction box being in the one length unspliced. 226.10, the tubing, all tubing in each hydraulic load cell readout instrumental should conform to the following. Tubing should be the copper stainless and the size of the bore that's given with the response to meeting the performance requirements of installation. Tubing should be housed in continuity with otherwise protected with mechanical damage. Tubing connections must be the type of the quality precluded with any possible leakage. All hydraulic connections should be located within ease and inspection. 226L 226.11 Marking Requirements Amendment in 2011. Minimum load shall be marked with the following: the manufacturer's name of the manufacturer's trade, model part, nominal capacity, non-repetitive serial number. This page is intentionally left blank, and we're on to Chapter 3, Specification, Design, Installation, Low Profile, Pitless, and Instrumented Railway Track Scales.